Good morning, everyone. Well, at least it's a morning for me. And today we're going to talk about breasts. Now, is there any better way to start a day than talking about breasts? We're not going to be talking about my breasts though. We are going to be talking about the breast implants and diving. And for those who are new here, I am Kazi. I've been teaching diving for more than 10 years now. And in this little mini series, I am answering all the uncomfortable, slightly weird, maybe even unusual questions about diving that you wanted to ask but maybe never had the courage to. So are breast implants actually neutrally buoyant, negatively buoyant, maybe positively buoyant? Is there any chance of them exploding underwater? For this question, you will find the answer at the end of this video, so you have to stay with me until the end. Let's get into it right now. Can we dive with breast implants? And the answer is, of course, you can. But there is a couple of things we need to consider before we get back into the water after our breast implants surgery. And the first thing and the most important thing is our recovery time. So we always need to consult with our surgeon or the doctor and make sure that we are ready to safely get back in the water. And for some, it can take from 4 to 6 weeks. For others, it may take up to 6 months. So you need to consult with your doctor and make sure when is the right time for you personally to get back in the water. And remember not to rush it, to take time. Everyone is different. So how do we deal with the buoyancy? I know the common misconception is that the breast implants are actually positively buoyant, but hey, they are not balloons filled with air. And actually, most of the breast implants are negatively buoyant. So the ones made out of the silicone are always going to be the negatively buoyant. And the one made out of saline are neutrally buoyant in salt water. Therefore, they're going to be slightly negatively buoyant in fresh water. So what we need to think about here is how to adjust our trim, how to adjust our weights, maybe do a proper weight check before we get back in the water to make sure we feel nice and comfortable with our buoyancy. Although most of the divers say that it didn't affect them as much and they really didn't have to adjust anything. For those who are more prone to have a floaty legs, sometimes the weight system needs to be adjusted and positioned in a different way so you can have that nice horizontal trim. So that's something to consider and think about. One thing that I was super surprised with when I was doing my research, and I never actually thought about it, is that we really need to take care now of that thermal protection, as our implants are not connected with our body through blood vessels. It takes our body way longer to keep that area warm. Of course, your implants are not going to freeze while diving, but it can be very uncomfortable after the dive when you get cold. And I actually suffer from really painful nipples, and this is like every month, same time. I know that if I'm gonna get cold there, it's gonna be painful. It's gonna be excruciatingly painful during the dive and then after the dive, and it takes me so much time to warm it up. Well, that's just me, and that is very similar to what you might feel when you're having a breast implant. So having that extra layer added here to make sure that we keep it warm when we go, even in those tropical waters, it's very important. And talking about these additional layers, again, thinking about the comfort, we don't want to put any additional pressure. So we want to make sure that our wetsuit fits as well and it's not too tight. So probably the same wetsuit that you've been using before is not going to fit. And then we also have to think of adjusting our straps in our harness if you're using that system, or the BCD, maybe the chest strap, and make sure that everything is comfortable there so we don't put any additional pressure in those pain points or those sensitive points after the operation. Other thing which is also interesting is how our breast implants absorb the nitrogen. Do they actually absorb it? Is there any bubble formation? So before I answer that question, if you enjoy the content, please make sure you subscribe to my channel so I can create more content about diving and travel and be with you here more often. So bubble formation. When we go underwater, we go under pressure and we breathe compressed gas, which means our body starts to absorb nitrogen and it can form bubbles. Scientists made a lot of different experiments with different breast implants, and they exposed them to multiple recreational dives, repetitive dives as well, and they discovered that bubble formation, but that bubble formation is not big enough or not dangerous enough to cause decompression sickness. So no, breast implants are not making us more predisposed to decompression sickness. And then the final answer to your question, during the same studies, scientists discovered that those bubbles are having absolutely no effect in terms of internal or external damage, and there is absolutely no scientific proof that the breast implants can explode underwater. So no, they will not explode underwater. Cool. I have a train passing by, so you might probably hear it in my edit. That's the beauty of living in Bangkok right now. I hope you find those information valuable and interesting, and if you have any additional questions, please write them down in the comments section, and then I'll see you next time.